My name's Alan Bracken, and we're continuing our journey on discussing this theme, extraordinary success. We've looked at this as a tip, tenacity, intentionality, and purpose toward becoming extraordinarily successful. We've unpacked tenacity, we've talked about intentionality, and we're in the middle of talking about purpose and how a clear purpose will lead us to extraordinary success. We've said purpose is defined as why something exists. So clarifying why we as individuals exist beyond the obvious, from our organizations all the way through in our individual lives. Why do we really exist, and do we really know, and are we clear on our purpose? We've looked at passion, we've looked at skill. Now we want to look at what makes you feel noble. This question, I think, will give us even further insight into our purpose, our unique individual purpose. Noble meaning ethical and worthy. What gives us that sense that we've done something great at the end of the day? Another question we may ask is this: what activities have you engaged in that have left you feeling noble? Just reflect on this question and think about what have been some times in your life that you maybe went to bed that evening with the sense of purpose and meaning more fulfilled in your life? You know, I believe for me, purpose is tying what we do to something bigger than ourselves. And when I can tie an action, a skill of something I do to something that's bigger than me, that helps impact and affect people in a positive way, that gives me a sense of nobility and of worth. I want to give you an example of a story that did this for me. I shared earlier about having some community service projects, and one of them was called Mission Outdoor Overhaul. And we got the idea from Extreme Home Makeover. And what we would do is we would nominate needy families and go in and fix their driveway, landscape their yard, maybe put a ramp in, maybe build a deck. And it was a joint venture of Bracken Paving and then several other companies in the area that were really just adding value to someone that was helping another person. We picked a family, the Mott's family, and they were nominated and chosen to be recipients of this Mission Outdoor Overhaul. So I showed up and knocked on the door at about 7 o'clock in the morning, and a lady came to the door, and I told her who I was and what we were there to do, and she began to tell me her story. And it was such a powerful story. She told me about recently having lost her husband. And so it was just her and her 17-year-old son, and he had cerebral palsy. And she was just talking to her son one day, just explaining that it's just them now. And they would be okay because they had each other. And just a few months later, he passed away. And she said she was thinking about that whole story and thinking about, wow, this is unbelievable. And what she came up with was astounding to me. She all of a sudden realized that there's other needy kids in the world. And so she went out and adopted 3 more severely handicapped children. And I was just mesmerized by her telling this story so passionately. And she realized that she could make a difference in their lives. And when we showed up to fix her driveway, I really didn't know what we were getting into. But I want you to know, I was so inspired by this lady and her story and what she was doing. Let me show you a picture of her 3 kids that she had chose to adopt. They were all in wheelchairs, and she had a gravel driveway, a little bit on a hill, very hard to get in and out of. And so she was just explaining that it would just help her if she had some more gravel. So I thought, well, we're going to do a lot more than that, and we did. And we came in and we fixed her driveway, and we landscaped. The landscape company came in, and we just really spruced it up really nice. But what was so impactful in this whole story was her. Not what we did for her. We took one day of our lives to make a difference. But it's what she was doing that was so inspiring. And here's a person that's living on purpose, for a purpose. And at the end of the job, here's a picture of my wife hugging her, and she's just so happy, and she's telling us with tears coming down her face how that now, when she takes her one son Trevor down to the bottom of the driveway to do his breathing treatment in a house at the bottom of the driveway, how that she's so excited because he won't go into seizures. Because she was just saying, as she rolled the wheelchair down the driveway, sometimes the rocks would jar him and he would actually go into seizures. And she was just so happy that that wasn't going to happen anymore, because we had a nice paved driveway there for her. And as I stood there watching this, I was just so impressed with this lady and what she had done and the difference that she's making. And it wasn't just us. You can see several names on the back of the shirt. It was a bunch of companies coming together to make a difference, to take the skill of what we did, each of us as companies, and make a difference for someone that was making a huge impact on some kids whose lives would be less fortunate otherwise. And so if we take Miss Motts here as an example, where did we start? We asked this question: what would not happen if you didn't exist? Well, if I asked that question about Miss Motts, I would say that those kids that she's caring for and giving love to and providing a home for may not have that otherwise. If we move to the next question, what are her passions? Well, she's passionate about kids. She's passionate about handicapped children and making a difference in their life. And then obviously move to skill. She has a skill. She has a gift. She has a talent to take care of those kind of kids. And then when we move to the last question, what leaves you with the sense of nobility? She has a sense of nobility, of doing something beyond herself for someone. And to me, that's a great personal example of someone that has progressed through the discussion that we've had and is living a life and is more clear on her purpose and what her purpose is for. Now, if we look at the companies that were involved, you can look at the same progression. If the companies that were involved in making her life a little better, a little easier, a little happier, if they would not have gotten engaged and taken their skill and given it out, then this would not have happened the way that it did. And whether we look at it as individuals or we look at it through the lens of an organization, when we do things that leave us with that sense of nobility and honor, I believe that is purpose. And purpose, again, to me, it's about tying what we do to something that's bigger than us.